Devin Gonzalez, and this is going to be dealing with preparation for your new board. Alright guys, now that I've selected a new board here, I've definitely sized it to my height, I've sized it to my weight, and I've sized it to my shoe size. So the thing I need to do first is get this board ready to get on the mountain. And the main thing you want to do is first is wax your board. Alright. The tools that we're going to need for this is a gummy stone. You can buy it at your local ski shop. A Phillips screwdriver. Your scraper. Some wax. And an iron. Alright. So we'll put all these tools away and we're going to get ready to wax the board. First things first, actually, before we wax the board, depending on your ability, if you're a beginner, what you need to do is detune the edges. And that usually is going to start where you start to see the edge go in with your radial side cut. And what that means is your radial side cut, it comes out further out at your nose and tail and goes in the midpoint of your board and coming out towards your tail area. So we need to find that point. If you're a beginner, what you want to do is come with your gummy stone and you want to detune this edge, because this edge is a major culprit for catching your edge on the ski mountain. And it's all happened to all of us, even us experts. So I'm going to detune this edge. We want to do this nose and tail. So after you've done that, kind of run your hand on it and it shouldn't be sharp anymore. Not as sharp as it would be in the middle. Alright, now that that's all done, I'll clean off that excess. And usually when you buy a brand new board, they do come factory wax, but it's always good to put another layer of wax. Especially dealing with the conditions in the area where you live. Whether it's cold, you want to be with the cold wax. Red wax is probably your best type of wax. This is a universal wax, so this works with all conditions. Whether it's a wet snow, whether it's a cold snow, and whether it's a dry snow. So I usually suggest use a red type of wax because that would be your best type of wax, being a universal wax. So we're going to make sure our iron's nice and hot. You can usually feel the heat. When you do feel that heat, what you want to do is get your wax and you're going to run a straight line from tip to tail. And run it back. I usually do a little quick one. Alright. Now what I need to do is get the wax all over the board, and we're going to do that with the iron. Now when you're ironing your board, you don't want to stay in one spot and go slow, because if you do this, you're going to burn the wax. It's not going to work properly. So you want to be nice and fast. Spread that wax all around. Now, if you don't have a new board, and if this is your old board and you're waxing, the one thing you want to make sure to do is take your bindings off. You never want to wax a board with your bindings on. You have your screws that are mounted to your snowboard, and as you heat the bottom of the base, it will pull up where that air pressure that is in between your screws, where your bindings are mounted, and your board will bubble in that area. So always take your bindings off if that's your old board. Alright, now that we've waxed the board and it's cooled down, the first thing we want to do is get that scraper that we have, and we're going to clean off the wax first off the edges. Just run your scraper off. Make sure the wax is off all your edge area. If you don't do this, you'll definitely notice a humongous difference when trying to make a turn. You'll slide out. So now that's done. The one way I like to wax my board is get my thumbs in the middle of my scraper here, as you can see. And I like to create a little bit of pressure. Alright? And this makes sure that I can get all the wax off my board. Alright, so the next thing you're going to do, you can go to your local hardware store and buy one of these Scotch-Brite pads, and what you're going to do is we're going to use this to buff the wax. Use a lot of hand pressure, and you want it to actually glow. As it gets shinier, that means your board's going to slide a lot faster. Alright, now I'm going to flip this board around. It's time to set it up. Now the thing I'm going to pull out my bindings. Now everybody has a preferred stance. Realize where your stance is best for you when you're riding. You know, play around with it, you know, and find out what stance works for you when you're riding. Some people like it wide, and also some people like it ducked out. Now, for a beginner, the best stance would probably be a little bit in, almost all the way actually, and we want to run about 15 and 0. 15 being in the front of your binding, 0 being towards the back. That also, you know, works for goofy and regular. So I ride 15-15, and I like my stance about 23 apart. So grab your tape. We're going to measure from the middle of the binding. And 23 inches, I said, that's 23 inches. So that's what I like to ride, and that's something you should experience with and try and see what stance works for you and what riding style for your type of riding style. Now that I've adjusted the plate towards the back, let's go back and put the boot in. You already know your straps are working. There you go. You don't want your toe totally hanging out, but you want it almost even. And the one way to check it is to lay your board sideways, and if your toe is already passed to this point, that means you're going to have toe drag. So there you go. As you do that, then you'll be ready to get up to the mountain and go snowboarding. I'm Devin Gonzalez, and that was your tech tip of the day.